I feel very sorry for German people. They have been told lies about their history, and they are forced to go along with these lies because it will result in you losing your job and being socially ostracized. Very few people have the mental courage to deal with that. Okay, it's very, very difficult. Even in the UK, where we have more nominal freedom than in Germany for speaking out, there are very, very strict laws to protect a certain group of people from any kind of criticism at all, no matter how legitimate. The point about it is Germany, of course, has a special problem, and Austria to a certain extent. And that is because of the history they've been told about 6 million Jews and so on, they can't criticize Israel at all. Now, anybody with any common sense must know this. If you are a victim of a crime, it does not authorize you or justify you committing crimes as well, right? You can't commit crimes because you've been a victim of a crime. If you've had your stuff stolen, it doesn't authorize you to steal other people's stuff, okay? If you've been beaten up, it doesn't authorize you to go and beat other people up. Now, what the Zionist Jews are doing is they are preventing German people, almost all of whom were born after World War II, from having a reasonable say, having a reasonable opinion about what's going on in the world. It's incredibly discriminatory to demand that people who happen to be German, because I don't particularly like my father, in fact I didn't like him at all. I'm not responsible for his actions through his life. My father did many, many things in his life that I wouldn't approve of, but it doesn't mean that I'm guilty. I'm not guilty in any way for his behaviour, or for the behaviour of my mother, or for my grandmother, my grandfather, my great-grandmother, my great-grandfather. I don't know what these people did. And if they did good things, I don't deserve any thanks. And if they did bad things, I don't deserve any blame. But the Jews, the Zionist Jews, I should say, have attempted to force young German people to feel guilty about something that they never did. Right? In fact, even their grandparents didn't do it. That's another matter. Okay? But regardless, if you do believe the official story, and you do believe that 6 million Jews died, which in fact is completely untrue, even Wikipedia doesn't claim it. They say up to 6 million. In fact, I can't remember what it is. They've revised the figure many, many times. Even the official figure isn't 6 million. 6 million is just a nice number. There were more Jews in Europe after World War II than before. That's official statistics. So how is it possible there can be more Jews in Europe after World War II when so many Jews were died? That's impossible. Okay, but anyway, regardless of all that, okay, let's assume that 6 million Jews died, were killed in gas chambers by the Germans, right? And so on. Let's suppose it really did happen. Well, in what way does that justify Israel to commit war crimes? If any country shouldn't be committing war crimes, it's Israel. Israel should be the last country in the world to commit war crimes. What Israel is doing is they are manufacturing events, and even if you don't think they manufactured it, I think they manufactured it. Actually, I've looked into it. It's a film set, that kibbutz that they were filming. There was a whole lot of mattresses and bloody sofas chucked out, as if terrorists are going to waste time chucking out some mattresses and stuff to try and make it look like a movie set. Anyway. You don't just randomly attack a country or a people based upon what the people who did the crime are the people who presumably ended up dead, because it would have taken, in my opinion, if you look at the map of where that kibbutz was, honestly, it would have been Israeli military with tanks, helicopters and aircraft would have been in the vicinity very, very quickly. Especially since the whole border is heavily fortified and heavily, and also all these Israeli kibbutzes, they've all got their own weapons. Yeah, the whole story about what supposedly took place is not possible. It's not credible. Paragliders. I can't think of any more useless way of invading Israel than through paragliders. Talk about it'd be like shooting a very large, slow-moving duck, right? You know, the idea that you, if there was 100 paragliders coming towards you and you've got an automatic weapon, right, you could probably kill half of them before they even land. So it's not going to happen, all right? It's just a lie. But anyway, the bottom line is Israel says, and the Germans are forced, they are forced, German politicians and media are forced. Maybe they want to do it because they probably select these fuckers. But if I was a German citizen, I would be angry that was not able to express my opinions. Israel has no right to commit crimes just because they have been victims of crime, or they say they've been victims of crime. Israel is committing crimes now. Germans may have committed crimes in the past. Israel is committing crimes now. Now. The crimes the Germans are supposed to have committed ended in 1945, right? That's 78 years ago. And no one under the age of at least 100 has the slightest responsibility, even the slightest responsibility. It's a bit like blaming me for the activities of war criminal and Zionist Tony Blair, right? I'm not responsible for Sunak, for Blair, for Thatcher, for Johnson, or for Starmer, or for Sadiq Khan, or just because I'm British. But not only the Jews punishing the Germans at the time, they're even punishing Germans now. They're telling Germans in 2023, shush, you can't say anything, right? Because of what your great-grandparents supposedly did in World War II. That is very racist. The sins of the fathers do not, or the sins of your ancestors, such as they were. And don't forget, in 1933, Judea declared war in Germany. It was the Jews who declared war on Germany first. Right? That's a fact. In 1933, the war in Europe was 1939, and Jews declared war in Germany in 1933. This is documented historical fact. So perhaps German Jews had it coming. Although, to be fair on them, it wasn't their decision. It was done by the Rothschilds, who to this day pretty much rule the world. And they have all their rich people, their friends. If you look at Hollywood or Amazon or Google or Facebook, pretty much all the banks, the mass media, they're either owned by Zionist Jews or owned by allies of Zionist Jews like Rupert Murdoch, for example. So we don't have freedom of speech. I think it's incredibly racist to expect Germans to shut up about something. But let's have a look here. German club Mainz terminates Anwar El-Ghazi's contract over social media. Now, I don't actually know what he said. Saying he had posted and then deleted a message about the war that the club deemed unacceptable. I don't see why. He's a footballer. He's not even German. He's a Dutch footballer of, I presume, Arabic origin. Following talks with the management, regrets publishing the post, also remorseful about negative impact. The club added that the player also stated that he does not question Israel's right to exist. Says, however, in a further social media post, El-Ghazi indicated that the club had issued a statement without his permission. I admire this man. I admire him a lot. Because most people would go for the money. They'd say, you know what, I want the money. I want the money. I don't care about my freedom of speech. He said, I do not regret or have any remorse for my position, the player wrote. I do not distance myself from what I said, and I stand today and always until my last breath for humanity and the oppressed. Well, do you think David Beckham would say something like that? From a humanitarian perspective, I mean, what he's saying here, at least, is very, very similar to what Mohammed Mo Salah, they call him Mo because you can't be Mohammed in this day and age. Mohamed Salah said he's a Liverpool player and very highly rated at Liverpool. Very popular player. If you're good at football, you'll be popular, especially if you're from a team like Liverpool. It says here, the loss of my livelihood is nothing when compared to the hell being unleashed on the innocent and vulnerable in Gaza. Well, I completely agree with him. What a principled man. If only more people look at this crap they have. You know, the loss of my, well, I salute this man, Anwar al-Ghazi. Everybody should have the right to an opinion. I said everybody should have a right to an opinion. Okay, I said everybody. And when I say everybody, I mean Israelis too. I don't like a lot of their opinions, but also there are lots and lots of Jews who are strongly opposing what's happening in Israel. Very much so. And yet they're being ignored by the media. The media, if they do describe them, call them self-hating Jews, or just ignore them altogether. Or they say they're a tiny minority, not even worth listening to. Every individual has a right to his opinion. He's a footballer. His own opinions, when he's not at work, are his own opinions. Nobody should be forced by their boss. I actually think it's illegal to, an Israeli company in the Republic of Ireland fired someone for having pro-Palestinian support, and that apparently is against the Irish law. You're not allowed to, which is correct, you should not be allowed to terminate a person's contract based upon their opinions. You know, and what's he saying? He's saying, I stand today for humanity and the oppressed. Apparently that's a problem for the Germans. The loss of my livelihood is nothing when compared to the hell being unleashed on the innocent vulnerable in Gaza. Congratulations to him. I hope he gets signed up by another club. I don't think the Saudis will want him because they're pro-Zionist, but I'm sure he can find another club. And I believe that but we need to protect the rights of free speech. And I also, not that they need it, because the people who oppose our position already have free speech. They can say whatever they fucking well want. They've got no restrictions at all. They never get censored. It's only we who oppose them who get censored. But I have to tell you this. I'm a principled person. I believe in the principle of free speech. This would mean that those people who, and there are many of them, who sincerely disagree with me should not have their right to disagree with me curtailed. But I want a level playing field. Everyone should have the right to freedom of speech. Everybody needs that right. It's a vital protection in our society. What this man, I don't know what he originally said because they don't actually tell us here. But what they're saying here, again, Mike should say they don't have to say, well, it's his opinion, it's not ours. It's a club, they're a football club, and they're there to play football. If he wasn't playing good football, they can maybe select someone else. But his political opinions. I mean, if he was a Jewish footballer and he said that he strongly supported Israel, would they fire him? The answer is no, they wouldn't. They wouldn't dare to. They wouldn't dare to. So if Jews and some Jewish sports people have spoken out in behalf of Israel, if that is the case, then he must also be entitled to his freedom. He's not even a German national. He's a Dutch national. He's a professional footballer, and he, in his private capacity, because he's still, just because you play football doesn't mean you represent your team 24 hours a day when you're having a dump, right? You don't. When he's on the pitch, yes, but then they force footballers to wear armbands with LGBT logos, Black Lives Matter. Football's already highly political. And my advice to Celtic supporters is this: the best way you can punish Celtic for their policy of supporting Zionism is to simply not go to matches. Not go. Keep your money. And don't purchase any products from their sponsors. Football isn't worth it. It's a delusion. No, there are no good football teams. Football is a circus. It's designed to reinforce the official narrative. They don't want people thinking about anything important. They don't want you thinking about decency. Oh God, what a world we live in. No freedom of speech. Thank you.